Jesus Christ, that thing needs to calm itself down a bit. We're on a quick trip to Shooting Uptown with Granada X, which sounds like the late night version of the old UK regional TV channel. Boy, that was a niche joke even for this place. We get some great scrolling text at the start here, which confirms we're not dealing with a tank but a manoeuver cepter. Yes. It's also known as God of African Continent or Ghost of Soldiers, which really makes it sound like a Metal Gear spin-off. We get into the game, we're faced with a bit of a novelty for the time, an 8-way scrolling shooter. Yes, you can scroll that screen wherever you fancy, spitting out hot laser death. Said laser death shoots the way you're facing, so you hold down B, which locks the direction of the laser death, which means you can then strafe around the place. This is, of course, because we're in a world without twin analog sticks, but what we have here is a pretty decent solution to that problem. From the look of it, you'd naturally assume this was an arcade conversion, but it isn't, which will teach you to judge a book by its cover. Actually, it originally came out on the X86,000, which was basically a really well fancy late 80s computer that only came out in Japan, that had near arcade levels of graphical oomph. None of this matters to Jazz though, who proper goes in on this one. A sad sham of small, feeble looking sprites and rather naff backgrounds. Those interested in pretty graphics will be revolted. Underneath the graphical grottiness there is lots of game to enjoy. Now that last comment says it all. Despite the graphics getting 58%, playability gets 80% as to its presentation because this is a fun game. And whilst Jazz is very happy to give the graphics an old-fashioned kick in the nads, he also describes it as original and challenging. And you can't argue with that, it's a great pacey little shooter. Once you've adjusted to the controls of the Granada tank, manoeuver cepter is great to control. And whilst the graphics may not be the flashiest, they certainly aren't naff. What they are is smooth and fast. Bombing around the map trying to locate the last few enemies could end up dull if you were trundling around, but no. You're zipping around like the God of African Continent that you are. And whilst the first level is a bit plain, by the time of the second level you're shooting stuff off the back of a massive flying jet. It's cracking. Jazz is clearly a bit grouchy. We end up on 79%, summarised as an addictive, original, but ugly blaster which is still well worth checking out. Which I agree with. I don't agree with the jabs of the graphics, but the rest of the review is pretty much spot on. We'll agree, bordering on maybe when it comes to the looks of the game.